Welcome back, listeners, to another deep dive here on the show. Today we'll be doing things a little differently, taking a closer look at a specific topic instead of our usual format.
Yeah, we've got some interesting source material to go through today, focusing on Interstate 182 in Washington state. Seems like a pretty standard highway at first glance, but, well, you'll see.
Absolutely. We've got route info, historical documents, even a pretty detailed account of its path, all thanks to you amazing listeners.
So our goal today is to sift through all this info and extract, the juiciest bits, the stuff that really makes I-182's story so interesting. Kind of a shortcut to understanding its significance without having to read through pages and pages yourself.
Exactly, Kimi. We're all about efficiency here, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I-182, where do we even begin? Well, let's rewind back to the very beginning, to its origins. Turns out the Tri-Cities area, Pasco, Richland, Kennewick, almost missed out on being directly connected to I-82 back in the late 1950s.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Initial plans had I-82 crossing the Columbia River way south near Boardman, Oregon, completely bypassing the Tri-Cities. But, business leaders in the Tri-Cities, they weren't having it, so they kickstarted this massive lobbying effort around 1958, pushing for direct interstate access. They knew it was crucial for the region's economic growth.
Makes sense. Being connected to the interstate system is a huge advantage for any region. Opens up so many opportunities for businesses and residents alike.
Exactly. And it's a testament to the power of local advocacy, how a community can come together and actually influence infrastructure decisions.
Right, because these decisions aren't always, dictated from the top down.
Absolutely. And this need for a solid river crossing in the area, it actually goes way back. The source material mentioned the Timmerman Ferry, a cable ferry that used to operate right around where the I-182 bridge stands today.
Oh, wow. So even before the whole interstate system, folks recognized the importance of a reliable connection across the river.
Exactly, yeah. So you can imagine the concern when I-82 was initially planned to bypass them. They were worried that crucial historical connection would be lost. It took until 1969 for things to really get moving, when I-182 finally got approved. It was a compromise, a way to satisfy both the Tri-Cities' desire for direct access and the overall goals of the interstate system.
So a classic win-win scenario. Everyone's happy.
Pretty much. But getting from approval to actual construction was a whole other story. Initial estimates projected construction to start around 1971, but things faced, well, some pretty significant roadblocks along the way.
Roadblocks, literally. So what kind of issues caused these delays?
Well, for one, there was pushback from conservation groups. They were concerned about the environmental impact of the proposed Columbia River Bridge, especially its effect on waterfowl populations near the Yakima River Delta.
Environmental concerns, that makes sense. A growing awareness of ecological impacts during that era.
Definitely. And alongside that, there were also land disputes west of Richland. It was a real challenge figuring out the exact path of the freeway and negotiating with landowners.
Ah, the complexities of land acquisition. Always a sensitive and time-consuming aspect of big infrastructure projects.
You got it. And to make matters even more complicated, a federal freeze on highway funding was implemented in 1980.
Wow, so a combination of environmental concerns, landowner disputes, and a funding freeze. No wonder things got stalled.
Talk about a perfect storm. But despite all these hurdles, the first section of I-182 actually opened in 1983.
Oh, really? So it wasn't the bridge itself that was completed first?
Nope. It was a section over the Yakima River west of Richland. And then, after years of navigating all those challenges, the I-182 bridge, officially known as the Lee-Volpentis Bridges, finally opened in November 1984. It's quite an impressive structure, with twin concrete spans, each over 1,950 feet long. And get this, it even incorporates a section of the Sacagawea Heritage Trail.
Wow, that's pretty forward-thinking, integrating a recreational trail into the bridge design.
Absolutely. It really speaks to a changing approach to infrastructure, thinking about more than just cars. Now, this bridge ultimately replaced an older proposal for a fixed bridge from the 1940s and 50s, which was mainly spurred by the rapid growth happening at the Hanford site at the time.
So it was a long time coming.
It was. And finally, in March 1986, the entire 15-mile freeway was officially complete with the opening of the interchange connecting it to I-82 near Badger Mountain.
Yeah.
Kind of a fun fact. But this final push to finish the freeway was partly due to the need for a detour route while they were redecking the nearby Blue Bridge.
Ah, so they needed I-182 up and running quickly to keep traffic flowing smoothly.
Exactly. Now, looking at the specifics of the route, I-182 runs entirely concurrently with US 12 and connects with SR 240 and US 395, making it a really crucial part of the Tri-Cities transportation network. A less-known fact is that for a short stretch in Ridgeland, I-182 actually runs alongside the Tri-City Railroad.
Interesting. Different modes of transport, side by side.
It's a cool little detail. The freeway also passes by some pretty recognizable landmarks, like Geesis Stadium in Pasco and the Columbia Basin College campus. It also crosses over a BNSF rail yard right by Pasco's Amtrak station.
So it's really woven into the fabric of the community.
It is. Now, in terms of its wider significance, I-182 is part of the National Highway System, which means it's recognized for its importance to interstate commerce and national connectivity. So it gets dedicated federal funding and prioritization. It's also part of Washington State's Highway of Statewide Significance program, highlighting its critical role within the state. Traffic data from 2016 showed daily usage ranging from 11,000 to a whopping 67,000 vehicles.
Those are some serious numbers. Clearly shows how heavily relied upon it is.
For sure. And as you'd expect, the completion of I-182 really spurred commercial and residential development around its interchanges in the following decades, particularly around Queensgate Drive in Richland and Broadmoor Boulevard and Road 68 in Pasco.
So it not only facilitated movement, but also really shaped the landscape of the Tri-Cities.
Exactly. And speaking of those interchanges, they've undergone some significant changes over the years to keep up with the growing traffic demands. The Queensgate Drive interchange, for example, was completely reconstructed. They added auxiliary lanes to improve merging and even incorporated a roundabout just to make sure things keep flowing smoothly.
Makes sense, constantly adapting to the needs of the community.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into I-182, I think it's clear that this highway was far from a straightforward project. It involved a lot of community effort, political maneuvering, environmental considerations, and even overcoming some funding hiccups. But ultimately, it's become a vital artery for the Tri-Cities region, connecting communities and fueling economic growth.
A testament to perseverance, really.
It is, and it makes you think about the impact of infrastructure projects like this. It's not just about transportation, it's about shaping communities, landscapes, and even how people live their lives.
An interesting thought. So much goes into these projects, and they have such a lasting impact.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And with that, we'll bring our deep dive to a close. Until next time, stay curious.
See ya.